I would never recommend working at the front desk of any like beauty service place, specifically because of the customers. Like I'm talking about facial places, blow dry bars, hair salons, lash extension studios, because in theory it seems like such a chill job, right? Like you're literally just checking people in and checking them out, which is what I thought. But you would not believe the amount of people that will come in, get their service done, and then just straight up lie to the front desk about how the service went just to like try to get it for free. Like people are actually so bold. I remember this one time I was working up at the front desk and this lady just got like a full set of lash extensions. And so as she was walking up to pay, I was like, hi, how was everything? Like, how are you? And she just said nothing, was like staring straight forward. And I'm like, here we go. Literally just standing at the front desk, just staring at me, like blankly. So I'm like, okay, maybe she didn't hear me. So I was like, how was everything today? How was your service? And she just goes, how do you think? I'm like, oh no, did something happen? Like, what's wrong? Oh no. So she like leans in to show me her lashes. So she grabs her eye and pulls it up like that. And she was like, look, look, look. I'm looking, it looks like a beautiful full set of fresh lashes. So I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, you don't see that? So I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble understanding. I think you're gonna have to explain it to me. Use your words, use your big girl words. I wish I said that. So dead ass, she's like, look at how when I pull up my eyelid like this, you can see where my eyelash extensions end. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. What does this lady want me to even say to this? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to talk to my managers to confirm, but I can go ahead and make you a separate appointment to go ahead and get a removal and a full set. And we can definitely change the style of lashes you get. With lash extensions, you are gonna see the end of the lash, especially when you pull up your eye like this. It doesn't go into your eye, it just stops right where your natural lashes are. This is literally how I would tell if somebody was like actually unhappy with their lashes or if they just didn't want to pay. Because here's the thing, if someone's actually unhappy with their service and then you offer to get it fixed for them free of charge, that shouldn't be a problem, right? That should fix the issue. But how you would know when they were just trying to get their service for free is when they would just be like, no, I don't want you to fix them, and no, I don't want you to remove them. I just want you to give me my entire service today that I agreed and signed a paper that I would pay for free. Which is, as I'm sure you can guess, exactly what this lady did. So she's like, no, that's not gonna work. Actually, this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna give me my service for free because I am not paying for this terrible work and I'm gonna leave. So I'm like, I'm really sorry, I'm not allowed to do that. It's against our policy, but I can offer you a free removal and a full set. I can schedule you with another person. And she's like, no, this is unacceptable service, so I will not be paying today. And I'm like, lady, do you even know how much you make me hate my life? At this point, it's just a back and forth. The conversation's not going anywhere. I have other people I need to help. So I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'm not going to charge you today. We do have your card on file, so I am going to go ahead and talk to my managers about this and see if there's anything else we can do. Me knowing there's literally nothing, but like, this lady won't leave. And obviously she won't pay. So yeah, I'll have them give you a call back tomorrow. She's like, thank you. And then she leaves. And then this is the part where the managers get mad at me because I let someone leave without paying. And I say this like this was a one-time thing, but this type of situation would happen all the time. Like, I mean like almost every single shift. And then my managers would call the person back the next day, explain the exact same thing I did, and then charge their card. And that's not even the worst time. One time this lady was so mad that they were making her pay that she literally started screaming and running up and down the hallways because she hated her lashes so much and she wasn't gonna pay, like fully throwing a temper tantrum, had to call the police and get her like removed. So I beg of you, if you get any of these type of beauty services done, just be nice to the front desk people and the people who do your service. And for the love of God, do not go to get the service done if you are not prepared to pay for it. Let me know if you guys want a part 2 because unfortunately there's a whole lot more where that came from. I was explaining to my boyfriend the other day what a girl's girl is because I used it in a sentence and he was like, what's a girl's girl? And I got to thinking and I was like, what's the opposite of a girl's girl? Would it be like a pick-me girl, or I don't know what it would be. So I'm trying to explain to him what a girl's girl is, and the best description I can come up with is a girl who views other girls as allies instead of competition, right? And the only reason we were even on this topic was because we had just gone out to dinner with this group of people and I was telling my boyfriend that one of the girls there just didn't sit right with me for some reason. And he was trying to ask me why I didn't like her because I usually like most people initially, and I couldn't even come up with any valid reasons. Literally the only reason I could come up with was just that I could tell she wasn't a girl's girl, which must sound crazy to a guy, so I get why he was confused. But it was just like whenever she was talking or telling a story, she would direct all of her attention to the guys at the table, especially my boyfriend, to be honest. And it seemed like she was trying to ask all the guys questions and be like super interactive with all the guys, but was not directing like any attention toward the girls or like trying to talk to them at all. And my friend noticed it too. And then whenever I would say something to the group, she would kind of side-eye me and give me like a nasty look. And then she would start talking to her friend and like act like she wasn't listening. And then whenever the guys were like telling a story or saying something, she would start like laughing really loud, laughing at jokes that like weren't really that funny. But she was pretty much just pretending that like every girl there like did not exist. Like ignoring them when they spoke, literally just didn't exist. I also knew a girl like that in high school where her like entire personality would change as soon as there was a guy in the room. Like it was not the same girl. And then the classic like starts putting other girls down and making fun of her friends in a way that she normally wouldn't if there wasn't a guy there. Like would be competing with us essentially. essentially. Like, was trying to make us look bad to make herself look better, which, to be honest with you, I feel like when people do that, it makes them look worse. Because, like, why do you have to put your friend down to try to make yourself look better? That just makes you seem like an evil person. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like that's a totally valid reason not to necessarily care for someone. And as girls, I feel like we all have this, like, spidey sense where we can tell off the bat if someone's a girl's girl or not. And I live, laugh, love girls people. Like, I vibe with them. But when I can tell, like, off the bat that another girl is not, like, for the girls, I just can't. I can't, like, be friends with that type of person. Because I feel like that's a friend that's just gonna stab you in the back in the future. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong. That's just the conclusion I've come to. You guys think that's a valid enough reason not to like someone? Let me know. This video is for the girls only. Due to popular request, I'm gonna tell you guys a story about when I first got my period because it's actually pretty funny. So yes, I didn't even know what it was until I was 12, which was also the year that I got it. And I have received a lot of comments from people being like, your parents should have told you earlier, you should have been more prepared. But to be honest, I didn't really care. I was happy with what I knew. And my mom did, of course, sit me down and tell me how everything worked before I got it, so I was prepared. And I know some people feel differently, but I was actually happy I didn't have to worry about it until the time came because every parent does what they think is best for their child. And some parents choose to tell their kids earlier, but my parents did what they thought was best for me, and I'm glad they did. So for some reason, I always had this super huge fear that it was gonna hurt really bad from like where it came out. And even though everyone told me otherwise, it's just like for some reason was like the biggest fear in my mind. So the day that it happened, I was literally just sitting there chilling in my room, and I was home alone. I literally remember thinking like I thought I had just peed my pants. So I ran to the bathroom and I saw that there was blood, and I was like, oh my god, it's happening. But then my anxiety was like, wait, what if you didn't just get your period and you're literally just internally bleeding and dying? So I FaceTimed one of my best friends at the time as I'm literally sitting on the toilet, and we were the same age, but she'd already gotten her, so she was like, you need to chill, Jessie, you're fine. She was like, you're not dying, you just need to look in your bathroom for supplies. And so I opened the drawer where we kept everything, and every box was empty. Like literally everything I needed we had just ran out of. And my friend was like, okay, wad up a piece of toilet paper, shove it in there, and call your mom. So that's exactly what I did, and I called my mom who's at the store, and she's like, don't worry, I got you. Turns out I was a natural at using tampons, and I ended up single-handedly teaching 4 other girls in the friend group how to put them in when they got theirs. But then I ended up not getting my period again for 4 months, which resulted in the most horrible trip I've ever taken to the doctor, and why I hate going to the doctor's office because this guy totally like felt me up for no reason. That's a story for another day. They ran some blood work and we ended up finding out that I have a iron deficiency. It was so bad it was causing me to miss periods. I probably need to go to the doctor again soon because if I'm not constantly on a very high dose of ibuprofen all the time when I'm on my period, I will have cramps so bad I will have to get admitted to the ER. Besides that, it went well. I know some of y'all have had more traumatic experiences for your first time getting it, so drop it in the comments because I want to read it. This is literally why I hate going to the doctor. So when I was like 12, and I'll never forget this, my parents were worried I might have an iron deficiency because I had really bad dark circles all the time. Every time I stood up, everything went black and I felt like I was gonna pass out. I always felt just like super weak, and I missed my period for like 4 months. So my mom took me to the doctor, and this was not for a checkup. They didn't weigh me, take my height or anything. It was solely scheduled as a blood draw. So I come in for the appointment with my mom, I sit down on the table, and the first question this guy asked me is, do you use pads or tampons? Like, hello, what does this have to do with anything? I don't know if this is a normal question for doctors to ask, but considering I was just there for a blood draw, it seemed very out of the ordinary to me. And I have had my fair share of doctor's trips in my life, but I have never been asked that. Plus, we hadn't even told him that I had missed my period at all, so I was like, how is this related? So I answered the question, and bro doesn't even mark anything down on his clipboard. I was like, so is this just out of curiosity? So then he starts talking about the blood draw to me and my mom, like telling us what's gonna happen. As he's talking, he starts walking over to me, and with absolutely no warning, he just lifts up my arms and puts his hands on my waist, like facing me. And I jumped a little bit because obviously I wasn't expecting it. And as he's still talking about this blood draw, he takes his hands and he runs them all the way up to my armpits and then goes all the way back down. Still not telling me what the purpose was, why he was doing that. I was so uncomfortable. So then he just carries on like nothing happened. He's like, okay, you can follow me back this way for the blood draw. I was like, what? Also, side note, this dude was like 40 and I was 12. Then he finally takes me back to get my blood drawn. The lady shoves the needle in my arm, misses, like rips it out. It tears on my skin. My arm's bleeding everywhere. She was like, oh, sorry, I'm new. She tries again on the same arm, misses again. Then she wraps my arm and she's like, we're gonna try the other one. Eventually she got it, but that whole doctor trip was just so traumatizing for me as a child. Like, I literally hate going to the doctor to this day because of it. Anyway, turns out I had a raging iron deficiency and anemia. And fast forward to now, I haven't taken my iron pills in months. Why? I don't know. This is your weekly reminder to not drop your standards and settle for less, because there is a good man out there that will meet all of your expectations, treat you like a queen, and literally love you like there's no tomorrow. And I'm gonna tell you how I know. This class is in session. I literally used to think if I ever wanted to be happy or like find love, I was gonna have to lower my standards and settle for less and just have to like be okay with that because I thought I wasn't worthy of someone who met my expectations. I thought I wasn't pretty enough or didn't have a good enough personality. BS. I had a really low self-esteem at that point in my life, and I used to pray and pray and pray. God, please give me a boyfriend. Please make this guy like me, or please make this guy pursue me, because I've always been a hopeless romantic, and literally all I wanted was to just be in a relationship and not be alone. And I literally came to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna accept being single, because all the guys that were pursuing me were literally just the type of guy that would like date any girl that would just agree to it. Like, I wasn't special. I would have just been the next girl, and I didn't want to do that. And then the guys I was interested in, I was honestly chasing them. They did not want me, and it wasn't cute. So eventually, I just gave up and accepted being single. I started to grow my confidence and self-worth back, and I stopped being pathetic. And at that point in life, I really didn't have an outlet for meeting new people, which is why I thought it was hopeless for me. But this person was like brought into my life, and that's how I knew it was meant to be, because I was literally just vibing with my life how it was, and this man like appeared out of nowhere. And guess what? I am so happy God answered my prayers with wait instead of giving me what I wanted right there, right then, because as much as I would have loved to know my boyfriend sooner because I love him so much, I didn't know it then, but I needed that time for building up my self-esteem and becoming the confident girl he fell in love with. And I'm so glad he didn't meet me when I had such a horrendously low self-esteem, because let me tell you, that man fell in love with me for who I am. And bless his heart, but no matter how strongly he believes he would have been with me then and loved me just as much then, be so for real, I wouldn't have wanted to be with myself then. And now we've been together for 4 years, happiest relationship in my life. I have never ever had to worry about his loyalty to me. That man won't even glance in the direction of another woman. He is such a gentleman. He has me posted all over his Instagram. I've never had to tell him to like unfollow an Instagram model or like an influencer because he never even followed them in the first place. He respects me. He treats me like a queen. Literally my dream man. And guess what? He blew all of those expectations that I thought were unrealistic out of the water. He wasn't just up to my standards. He's above my standards. The same standards that I thought were unrealistic. And he's literally my best friend. So that's my 2 cents. Don't settle for the guy with all the red flags that you're brushing off and justifying just because you like the idea of being with him. Believe me, he'll do nothing but damage you and leave you broken. Stop chasing the guy who doesn't really want you, because you are worthy of someone who meets and exceeds all of your expectations, treats you like a queen, and respects you. I promise that person is out there, and God knows when you are mentally and emotionally ready, he will put that person in your life, and you don't have to do anything. And if you don't believe me, it doesn't hurt to try it. Focus on being happy by yourself, not even think about trying to find someone, and knowing your worth. Put all of your mental energy on just focusing on those 3 things, and then when the time is right, see what happens. Try it and let me know if I was right. Jealous girlfriend syndrome is real, and I too once fell victim to it. When my boyfriend and I first got together, we were literally 15. He was my first serious relationship that wasn't like a middle school relationship. So when other girls started going after my boyfriend, I was like, what is this fiery rage boiling up inside of me? Like, it literally made my blood boil. But I never ever showed it on the outside, so I figured it's okay as long as I suppress it and I keep my cool. But then there was this one time. So rewind just a few months before I met my boyfriend. He had this best friend that he used to see a lot, and my boyfriend's sister and his best friend's sister also got along pretty well, so they would like all 4 hang out. So when my boyfriend and I started dating, his sister spilled the tea to me about my boyfriend's old best friend's sister. Let's just call her Haley. So my boyfriend's sister tells me that Haley was obsessed with my boyfriend. Keep in mind, this is still before we started dating, and the way that my boyfriend's sister found this out was one time she was going with my boyfriend to his best friend's house, and Haley says to my boyfriend's sister, come in my room real quick, I want to show you something. So she follows her in there, and Haley had taped pictures of my boyfriend to her wall, like she had fully printed them out and hung them up. But what's even weirder is in all the photos he was asleep. So naturally my boyfriend's sister is like, where did you get those pictures? And Haley's like, oh, I took them of him while he was sleeping. Fast forward to when me and my boyfriend are dating. He had stopped hanging out with that friend for other reasons. And on one random Tuesday, me and my boyfriend and his sister all decide to go to the mall. So we're in Barnes & Noble, and my boyfriend's like holding this book open, and his sister and I are like looking over his shoulder at the book. I don't even know what we were talking about. And there's this girl that starts kind of also peering over, looking at the book he's reading, and she says something to us really, really quietly, but it was like about the book. And all of us kind of turn to look at this girl, and we're like, what? On God, I actually don't remember what she said about the book, but it was something about one of the main characters or some interesting fact because she had read it. And we were all kind of like, oh, okay, cool, thanks. And then she starts to walk away because we were upstairs, so she's walking towards like the escalator to go back down. So she starts going down, and then she stops, runs back up and back towards us. We're gonna call my boyfriend's ex-best friend Chad for the sake of the story. And she goes, oh, and Chad says hi. And then she turned around super quick before anyone had time to say anything back and like ran back down the escalator. So I look at my boyfriend and my sister and I'm like, what? What was that? And my boyfriend's sister's like, Jessie, that was Haley. And then I was like, oh, I look at my boyfriend and he just goes, oh wait, really? I didn't really look at her. I also thought it was weird that she said Chad says hi because she didn't have time to like talk to her brother from when she had seen us in the bookstore. I honestly just think she just wanted us to know it was her because this happened like at least a year later. That was definitely not the first time something like that has happened. Don't even get me started on the girl that used to join an Xbox party with my boyfriend just so she could complain about her boyfriend to him. And then months later went around telling everyone that my boyfriend and her were best friends even though my boyfriend hadn't talked to her in months. He blocked her. So that's a story for another day. I learned when you're secure in your relationship, you're with someone who's trustworthy. At the end of the day, you won. So that thought process and knowing that I'm secure in my partner are the two things that help me overcome feeling any type of jealousy when that type of stuff happens. But on the other hand, if you can't trust your partner, and if you're worried that if another girl pursues him, he'll leave you for her, leave first.